evidence archaeologically to prove their story. Now, when we are talking about Al-Aqsa Mosque, they believe that the Temple Mount was in there, and particularly exactly in the same position like Qubbat al-Sakhra, the Dome of the Rock. So now what they are trying to do is to divide Al-Aqsa Mosque time-wise and place-wise between them and the Palestinian Muslims, which is something that all Palestinians, especially in Jerusalem and outside Jerusalem, are totally refusing. The attempt now started after the, like more than 10, 15 years when they start visiting Al-Aqsa Mosque on the period of time where the visitors and foreign visitors are allowed to come in, and it became now like a habit. Every morning from 7 o'clock till 11, 11:30, this period of time usually is for the Jews to come and to wander inside Al-Aqsa Mosque. And in this particular time, usually they restrain the Palestinians. Either they kick them out, especially those who stayed after the morning prayer, or those who are visiting the Al-Aqsa Mosque during that period will be restricted from entering. So it's like, this time it's like designed for them. Then now their eyes on places inside Al-Aqsa Mosque they wanted to control, and they want to confiscate, like, Bab al-Rahma. Musalla Bab al-Rahma, which is an area where Palestinians do pray, it was closed for a while by the Israelis, and then the Palestinian force opened it. In the last few weeks, there is now new attempts to take it over. It's near to Bab al-Magharibi, so where usually the Jews would come to visit Al-Aqsa Mosque. If they took Bab al-Rahmah, it means that now they have like a footstep inside Al-Aqsa Mosque, and after that they will start to expand, and then to declare it for both. Like what happened in Al Ibrahimi Mosque in Hebron, where now it is parted between Jews and Muslims apart. There is a partition inside the mosque itself, and that will be refused by the Palestinians definitely.
Yeah, naturally. Okay, thank you so much for the thorough explanation. Saad Nem, Professor of Political Science with Birzeit University. Join me from Ramallah, also Zafar Bangash, Director of the Institute of Contemporary Islamic Thought from Toronto, with their insight and contribution. We'll have a couple of reports for you. In 5-6 minutes' time, we'll be back with the rest of the coverage. Okay there, welcome back to special coverage on Press TV. Today is just one day before the Nakba Day, or the Day of Catastrophe, is marked around the world. Already people across the world have been taken to the streets in different parts of the planet, and rallies have been held in many cities, including in Vienna, Rotterdam, Paris, Berlin, Toronto, also in cities inside Yemen. Also, we had pictures from New York. These rallies have been going on. This is what was held in Ramallah. I believe it was yesterday when I was covering that myself, maybe today too. So this is all to mark the day of catastrophe, or the Nakba Day. And as you can see, and if you have watched Press TV the year before, at the same time, you see that year after year we have more and more cities, more and more countries, and more people taking to the streets and making their voices heard in support of the Palestinians and their cause, and against the Israeli entity, the crimes it's committing against the Palestinians, and the apartheid system that it's imposing on the Palestinians, and the international law and conventions that it's not actually abiding by as it should as an occupier country. So different countries, we have been witness to those scenes. You saw the cities I just mentioned, the images there, and what you see now on your screen, live images from New York. American people are also out there. They want, as you see, the Israeli racist regime to stop. They want the apartheid system to end. They have called this year's rallies Nakba 75. 75 years passed since the creation of the Israeli regime 75 years ago. So it's called Nakba 75. And there's just a slogan of end the apartheid and end occupation. And this is being echoed across the planet. So that was live images from the U.S. And this is what was hours ago in the Netherlands, in the U.K., and France, elsewhere. And but tomorrow, this also, we expect this to go on. So let me just bring in Fra Hughes. He's a journalist, author, and activist in Belfast, joining me to discuss the occasion, and which is the day of catastrophe, or Nakba. Fra, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Yes, it's really vitally important that the coverage of all the different rallies and protests and commemorations which mark the 75th anniversary of the Nakba. I mean, we had one in Belfast yesterday, one in Derry, and I believe one in Dublin and in other cities in Ireland. So it appears that more and more people across the world are becoming more and more aware of the human rights violations being committed by the apartheid Zionist regime and the outright callous regime of murder that is shooting unarmed Palestinians every day, it appears, in the West Bank, and have murdered, at the last count I heard was 33, but I'm sure it's probably risen, in Gaza, you know, against the Palestinian people that have no army as such. They have no air force, they have no navy, they have no tanks, they have no cruise missiles. They're not supported by the Americans or the Western governments the way Ukraine is. They claim Ukraine is illegally occupied by Russia, something that I would argue on. But the fact that the West is complicit in these deaths and these murders, and a Nakba that continues every day, I think is beginning to resonate around the world. From what I see personally, the people of many of the Western countries, and increasingly across the globe, support the right of self-determination and justice of the Palestinian people. It is the elected and unelected governments around the world that are corrupt and seem to be in league with American hegemony in the Middle East, which is part of the reason that they back the apartheid Zionist murders regime that's in power at the moment.
And Fra, as you know, I'm sure that you've been definitely watching this unfold. We have greater and greater support year after year. What's the secret behind this, for Palestinians, of course?
The secret is undoubtedly that before the internet came into being, we were all manipulated. We have all been brainwashed, and we are all constantly fed a diet of propaganda by our respective governments. So in one country that's pro-Palestinian, you may get pro-Palestinian press, and in countries that are pro-Israeli, you will get anti-Palestinian press. And from a personal level, it was in 2009, I think it's good sometimes to personalise these discussions. In 2009, when I was on Facebook, I became more and more aware of the oppressive Israeli regime, and I saw the parallels between my country, Ireland, under British colonial occupation, with Palestine under the British colonial mandate. So I personally see a huge and have huge empathy for the people of Palestine, but I believe it's the internet, the growth of BDS, but mainly an alternative media for people in Galloway, a constant friend to Palestine and a constant thorn in the side to the imperialist machinations in the Middle East, who help highlight these things and bring it to a wider audience. I personally have been to Gaza in 2010 with George Galloway's Viva Palestina aid convoy, and I've been in the West Bank 3 times and in Syria 5 times. And I'm only saying this because once I became politically aware of the machinations in the Middle East of Israel and its cohorts and America and Britain, I think it is. I think there's a moral imperative that those of us who know what is happening stand up for the people of Palestine and stand up for justice in the wider Arab Persian collective.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Froy Hughes, journalist, author, and activist in Belfast. Now, looks like that we can go to our news bulletin. Let's see what we have for you in our newscast.